Hey there, welcome to a new album review, and today we have something called The Awake, or something else no one could bring, or no one else could bring, rather. Bit of a mouthful, I guess. It's probably one of the longest titles I've had, apart from the 11001, Asian Glow. So, yeah, this is actually an EP from the 80s, believe it or not. And the only reason why I'm reviewing it is because I was just looking through EPs and I was like, hey, that's an interesting title, and the band is called The Wake, right? So I was like, sure, let's give it a shot. And this is basically like 80s rock, but not like rock in a way. Like, I don't know, like it's not it's more like it's between pop and rock, you know what I mean? It's not like pop rock, it's like, you know what I mean? It's like a rock band, but it's very light, it's very uplifting in a way. Their songs are very, in a way, psychedelic. Not psychedelic, but it's more on that registry than it is necessarily actual rock or actual pop. So there's, it's definitely an interesting sound, and one thing that I've noticed right away is the drumming is actually really good. Like, for the most part, it's not that it's very diverse, like a lot of the patterns repeat, and there isn't a lot of, I guess, variety within the song when it comes to drumming, but generally speaking, the actual loop is like very good, because usually a lot of the, especially earlier stuff, 80s, 90s, you don't hear a lot of very full, I guess, drum patterns or anything like that. For the most part, they tend to be very simple because you kind of want the rest of the music, especially the vocals and the guitar, to sort of be in the front, and the drums are just sort of a supporting act. So you don't want them to, be too complicated. Usually they're super simple, but here, no, actually, the loop is quite interesting, and definitely adds to the like weird nature, I guess, of the song, because again, like, you're expecting the drums to be simple, and then it's like the loop is actually, or the loops that the songs have are actually not that simple as a whole, right? And yeah, essentially this is a 4-song EP, which I think later on they would release these songs or like these singles that they consider in like an actual album or something. It's only 16 minutes long, so it's not massive time investment or whatever. That's why I love EPs. It's just like, you're not sure about a band, you're not sure if you're gonna like it, so instead of listening to the entire album, you just sort of listen to the EP and you go, yeah, this is interesting, or if it's not interesting, you just sort of move on with your life, and you didn't lose more than like, half an hour, like most EPs are below half an hour, some are 10 minutes, others are 20, but still, it's a very good thing. Now, for the most part, and another thing that I've noticed is the first song on the EP as a male singer, the second song as a female singer, the third song as a male singer, and then the fourth song as both of them, right? Which was very interesting because, again, usually if you have a band and you have singers, you don't like generally tend to have a song without the singer entirely, and then another song with another singer entirely, and then they sort of come in together or whatever. But they were good. And the dynamic, especially in the fourth song, was actually really nice. Again, like, it's I don't want to like consider this psychedelic or whatever, but it's sort of like it gives that vibe. It sort of gives that uplifting, sort of perhaps not there type vibe, you know what I mean? It's definitely, again, like, it's not an heavy rock, it's not anything, it's just kind of like happy, it's dreamy in a way, right? I think I think that's a good way of describing it. It's like sort of dream rock, you know what I mean? It's very like dreamy, it's very out there, and yeah, like, the entire album is very uplifting. It's very, or at least like it feels like it. It's just a nice time overall. It's very sort of happy rock. And yeah, the dynamic between the singers in the last song really is like worth to listen to, in my opinion. And as a whole, like, okay, look, we're talking about an 80s album, meaning the album doesn't sound like the best in terms of the mix, especially being an EP, but at the same time, it's kind of weird because it's like it's clean noise in a way, right? So, like, it's not super clean in terms of the production because it's an 80s album, but at the same time, it's not like, super noisy either. It's sort of like it like the instruments feel somewhat clean for the time, but at the same time it's sort of like noisy, and when they're all playing together, especially, sometimes it's hard to distinguish certain parts of it, right? I had a little bit of a trouble going through, especially, I think, the third song, I think it was. There's certain parts there that I'm sure, sort of like sitting there like I'm not sure if like they're playing with two guitars, if they're playing with a guitar and a bass, you know, and even then the singing oftentimes as good as it is, in my opinion, because the voices are like angelic, honestly, like they're just super soft, super nice to listen to, but as much as that is, like the voices sort of feel very in the mix rather than being on top, which is something that happens quite a lot, I guess, from this time period, which is like I guess they struggle with the voices and especially the singing being more on the top, given that it's not as powerful of an instrument as other instruments. So yeah, it just sort of seems to suffer from a problem or two here and there, but as a whole, I actually enjoyed it quite a lot. I think it's a very nice. Again, like the drumming is actually really nice. You know, again, nothing super complex, but it is more, perhaps, full. I guess, you know, there's definitely more notes being played than you expect from this time period, and especially from this genre, right? You know, usually light rock doesn't have fucking just a bunch of drumming notes going on all the time, right? And here it definitely felt like that. So I actually did appreciate that a lot. And then again, like the soft, like I think it's like a sort of dreamy, soft tones. It's the entire album, and it's just a very nice time. I think it's definitely a band that I want to check out more of, because I had a very nice time with it, and I'm glad that I'm able to like go back, and because again, this came out in like '87, I think, so it's been a while. Right, it's been a while, and you know, I do enjoy going sometimes back in time and you know, giving a shot to stuff that is, I guess, on the older side of things, because I think that I tend to lean very heavily into like newer stuff. So I don't know, I'm just like impressed at how sometimes diverse the music of like 80s and 90s really was, right? I think there's a lot of like cool ideas. A lot of them didn't really, in my opinion, pay out, but sometimes you do have like these sort of gems that you know, as far as I know, seem to go pretty under the radar, because I've never heard about this band or anything like that, right? And it was actually a very nice experience. So yeah, in terms of my vibe meter, I don't know, I'm giving like a very strong 8 out of 10, I think, you know, with, you know, upwards with upwards tendencies, definitely. But yeah, I think an 8 out of 10 is nice. I think it's a nice score. So yeah, that's it for today, and I'll see you tomorrow with a new album review.